what am I going to do? Somebody says, do you want to go on my yacht? No, sorry. For what reason? I was also single. But I would have gone on even if I wasn't, because, hello, it's a yacht. Like, it wasn't under some sort of thing, you can only come on the yacht to give me a blowy. But I did give a blowy, yeah. No, I didn't actually. I didn't at all. Wow, I'm unhinged this week. I am unhinged. I wasn't even going to record today because I woke up mildly hungover, but still in the pits of despair. The pits. Like, any little amount of alcohol I have now, I wake up and I'm just like doom. Absolute doom. Archive all my WhatsApp chats. Can't speak to anybody. Do not disturb. TikTok scrolling. That is all I can do. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then, out of nowhere, I had just a massive surge of energy. I'm like that meme, you know, of Baby Yoda. I shared it on my Instagram last week when it says me 10 minutes after being dramatic and his little head pops around the corner and says, I've decided I'm okay. That's me, not only today, but this week. So, yeah, strap in, that's all I can say, guys. Strap into this episode, because I don't know what my mood's going to be like by the end of it. I was watching TikTok the other day. The angle of this mic is weird. I was watching TikTok the other day, and there was a video, 2 videos, right? Next video, a young guy, taxi driver, dropping off an older couple, right? Married couple. As they saying goodbye, it's a really heartfelt goodbye. And the guy is lovely, and he's like, yeah, it's lovely to meet you too, yeah, goodbye. And the woman especially is like, you take care of yourself, you're a great guy, and all this stuff, right? And it's quite emotional and powerful goodbye. She gets out of the car, taps the window, he puts the window down, she says, I lost my son a year ago, and you remind me of him. And her voice cracks. Oh my God, I sobbed. And I'm not talking cry, I'm talking ugly cry, sobbed. Could not console myself. Couldn't. Just kept playing it on repeat like a masochist. Hopefully that's the right word. It just absolutely tortured me. I couldn't speak. I was like, I'm going to have to ring my mother so she can tell me I'm being stupid and that everything's going to be okay. I rang her. She was obviously like, what's wrong? I was like, nothing's wrong, but I saw this video and couldn't even speak to her. Actually couldn't speak. Was trying to tell her my story. And I was like, it was just this video and this woman had lost. I couldn't tell. I was like, I'm going to have to call you back. I can't actually repeat it. Couldn't even repeat the story to her because I was getting so upset. And honestly surprised I didn't cry to you telling you. Guys, unhinged. No, I went on that rant the other week saying I hate it when guys are like, oh, it must be the hormones. No, I've actually been saying that to myself this week. I'm like, something must be surging through my body. My period must be coming because the hormones. Wow. So, yeah, welcome, hi, I'm emotionally unstable today, so let's just go straight into a story to try and calm myself down. I met my ex-husband on a train. I accidentally tripped a lady up with my massive suitcase and I apologised, but she stomped off. The guy opposite me giggled and I said, "Don't, I feel terrible." I got off the train a couple of stops later, hoping he would talk to me again, but he didn't. The next night I was out and the same guy was there and came up to me. We swapped numbers and got together really quickly. 11 and a half years later, oh my God, we were married with 2 beautiful children, but I felt there was a coldness there. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I wanted it to work for the children. One night I checked his phone on holiday. I never had before. I found out he'd been sexting a girl from work for an entire year. I'd moved abroad for him just before lockdown and I'd felt so alone. I was gutted and unsure if this meant the end. My head told me I couldn't forgive him, but my heart said I couldn't leave over just messages. We argued that night. He cried and deleted the messages. I went outside to call my sisters, and when I came back in 2 hours later, he was asleep. A couple of nights passed and I checked his phone again, this time taking screenshots of everything and sending them to myself. That's lethal. I found out he had a deep emotional affair with another girl from work. when our children were under 1 and 3. This girl lived where we had moved to for his work. We split up the morning I found that out. I took the children home to my parents and he went back to... I want to keep it anonymous, guys, so I'm not going to say where. So basically, she took him back to the UK and he went back to the country abroad. He blamed the affair on pressures of work and children, and he said I had changed. But other affairs came to light when I moved home, before we even got married and had the children. We haven't really spoken for the last 18 months. I have filed for divorce and kept contact to a minimum. He's now with the girl he had the longest affair with. He's lying to the children and saying she is just a friend and trying to encourage spending time with her. I have no idea how to navigate the next steps. Oh my God, that's shit. Okay, let's go back and dissect this. Oh, that's a really, really sad one. Really sad. Because I think, right, when obviously you find out that your partner's had an affair of any kind, whether it's emotional or physical, whatever, I think they instantly feel like a different person. They know the person that you know. They know the person that you feel secure with, obviously, because they've betrayed you, especially over such a long period of time. You're like, how can you be living this lie with me for so long? So I think to have that and have that feeling over and over again, just finding more and more affairs, I just think that alone is something really hard to deal with, because it's just like 1 affair, 2 affair, 3 affair, 4, like, how many do you need? How much time did this man have on his hands? Because having a wife and a girlfriend is, or should be, a full-time job, you know? We take time, we need time, attention, care, not just women, obviously just relationships in general. And to have a good relationship, you've got to put some work in. So it's clear that you've got enough time to have all of these affairs because you're not putting the work in at home. That's my first conclusion right there. And I think I've hit the nail on the head there, don't you? Because who else has the time? Who has the time to have 5 affairs? 1 sexual, 1 emotional, and then 1 who you're living with, and then also multiple that have been and gone in the time we've been together. Oh, absolutely disgusting. Although I do feel like maybe, you know, like some people that don't believe in monogamy say that you can't expect everything from one person. Oh wow, my breasts are out. I'm just gonna do this button up. Yeah, no, they say like you can't get everything from one relationship. In that case, maybe true. Is that what we all need to do? Have 1 person to sex, have 1 person to sleep with, have 1 person for emotional connection? Because obviously you can't expect to get everything from 1 person, but that's what friends should be for. Have your emotional affair with your friends. You know, go for a beer down the pub with them. That's very stereotypical, I know, but that's what I imagine this guy's doing. And just open up a little bit, as much as you can, being a guy. What a cute little meeting story, though, that they met on a train. I actually loved that. When I read that, I thought naively that we were going to get a nice love story. I should have realised thick and fast that that's not always how it works around here. But I think it's really nice, especially like she was open that he would talk to her, and then he didn't, but then they bumped into each other on the night out. For me, I'd be done. I'd be like, it's meant to be. It's absolutely meant to be. We have to be together. You know, if you've listened to a couple of my episodes, I must have mentioned the story how I met my ex. For those who are new here, I'll do a quick little version. Basically, I saw a guy opposite on the tube. He was with his friend, I was with my friend. Had a little bit of a chat and a joke. That was it. Left, got off at the same stop, but that was it. And then like 3-4 days later, I was walking down Leicester Square in full fancy dress because it was Halloween at like 2 a.m. or something, and we bumped into each other. And then he was like, you've got to give me a number now. And I was like, I absolutely do have to, because fate. So for me, I'd be done, like if I was well, clearly not, because I kind of was and I'm not with the guy anymore. But you know what I mean. Also, I find it interesting that she says she'd never checked his phone before, but she decided to on holiday. That's just like that gut feeling thing. Do you know, I listened to a really good podcast the other day that said the whole gut feeling is a scientific thing, and I'm going to have to do it properly on another episode, and I'm going to research it for you guys, because I listened to the podcast and it was very helpful, and I want to say it all right. But it's actually like a scientific thing that your brain and your gut are connected. So when you can actually feel something in your gut, it's actually a real feeling that we should follow. It's a real thing. So she obviously had that. That's like the story of Vanderpump Rules with Tom Sandoval, is it? And Raquel and shit, what's the woman's name? I can't believe I can't remember her name, because she's the best one and the main one. But yeah, you saw the story where they've been together years, married, and she said she never checked his phone before, and she randomly checked his phone while she had it in her hand and found, it hasn't been confirmed, but it was suggested that it was a video that her friend had sent him and he'd saved, like a road video, which is disgusting. But yeah, she knew to check her phone. I do think sometimes it's crazy how you just know, especially she said herself that there was coldness in the marriage. I think that kind of says it all. You can definitely feel it when something's off. That's why I do find it interesting when some people say that they are blindsided by a phase or something, because obviously that's completely valid. Obviously no one's lying when they say that. But I think sometimes you might think that, but then if you actually look deeper, you're like, yeah, obviously, because something wasn't right, or there was a coldness there, or you were one way and now you're not. And usually there's a reason for that. You know, it's not just coincidence. Do you know this also happened to me as well, actually? This has happened to me a couple of times, where I've seen somebody, fancied them, and then nothing's happened, and then they've bumped in, like I've seen them again. It happened to me when I was younger on a flight to Ibiza. I saw this guy and I was like, oh my God, he's so hot. And all the girls were like, there's a guy there you're really going to fancy. He was sat in front of us on the plane by a few seats. And you know the sexual tension in an airport when you're on a plane, when you're going on a girls' holiday. For some reason, you're just like on the prowl, I feel like, as soon as you get there. You're just waiting. Every guy, there's a story to be told or to be had with him in there. And nothing happened, obviously, because we were in the airport. And then that night, we were out on the strip in Ibiza, and he walked in, and I was like, oh my God. And then, yeah, he was my little holiday fling. I wonder what he's doing now. I don't even think I took his number. I can't even remember his name. But yeah, we did kiss pretty much every night in Ibiza. There you go. The worst thing about this week's story, I think, with our affair is that they've got kids, and that he is with the woman he had the emotional affair with. I think emotional affairs hurt more, for sure, because sexual, I think we can all kind of understand. Well, I don't know that, but it's like, if you and your partner are not having sex, you can understand why some people will have sex elsewhere. You can understand how people can have sex with other people with no feelings being involved. You can sleep with someone and never see them again and be completely fine with that. That's just like kind of how it works sometimes, and our culture, wherever. So I think it's shit. Obviously, I'm not condoning it. But you can kind of understand it. But an emotional affair, like, that's the whole reason we're in a relationship, is because you like my personality, and because we get on, and because you help me through shit. Like, that's the whole point, I think, of being in a relationship. Obviously, you have to fancy him, and, well, you don't have to fancy him, to be fair, but, you know, obviously all the other stuff's important, but the emotional phase is what keeps you. Ultimately, you've got to be with your friend, because when you get old and you're all wrinkly and your tits are down to your knees and that dick is all shriveled up and you can't think of anything worse than touching it. Or I'm still scarred by that episode of Sex and the City with the old rich guy and Samantha, and he gets up and turns around and he's got an old wrinkly bum. Oh, horrifying. A sight I never want to see ever. If it's my bum, I don't know even what to do. Just count me out. Just roll me off a cliff or something if my arse is ever like that. I mean, by then, because we're so young, I reckon by then, that wouldn't even be possible. We'll be getting Botox and stuff in our arses, and people probably do that now anyway, don't they? I don't think old saggy bums are going to be around for our generation. There's too much good technology. But yeah, when you get to that age, the emotion is all you've got left, you know, is somebody that you just enjoy spending time with and going about your day with. So for somebody to have an emotional affair with somebody else, I think that's so hurtful, because it's like, well, why are we together then? Why? Because what's the point? It's like, I've got nothing to give you. You know, when some people say, oh, it was just sex, or it doesn't mean anything, I love you. I think an emotional affair feels like they don't love you, unless it's more of a case of you just haven't been vibing, and I don't know, they've got to know somebody else who listens to their problems. So for example, say I was with somebody, but I was like really engrossed in my own shit, and they were going through stuff at work, and they were coming home and wanting to tell me about it, but I was like, I'm doing my own shit, whatever, and I didn't listen. Then that's fair enough to get well, not fair enough, obviously. It's not okay to have an emotional affair, but like, you could understand that, couldn't you? But when you feel like you're there for the other person and they still do that behind your back, horrendous. In terms of navigating the next steps, I just think if you're going ever through a situation like that, you've just got to give yourself time and just allow yourself to feel what you feel. If this week has taught me anything, is to allow yourself to just lose your shit, to cry, whatever, without judgment, and just know that everything will pass. Fuck, it's hard though, because you've got kids and that's going to be in your life all the time. But ultimately, much better off alone than being with somebody like that who's just basically been having affairs the whole time they're with you. Is definitely going to be doing the same thing with her. Much better off with that. And when time does heal everything, doesn't it? You always see people, I mean, these are famous people, but Alex Earl's family, her father had an affair, now they're all okay. And she said herself, like, it was never like that first. It took a really long time. But in the end, it's okay. My cousin Lucy, she got a really good co-parenting relationship. And I think stuff just takes time, and you get over people. You do get over people. There's no better feeling than when you hang up over somebody and then all of a sudden it just goes. Do you know, I was thinking earlier, I don't know why, but randomly, about my first heartbreak. I don't know why. Probably because I'm hungover and I was in the pits, and I was like, let me think of every time I've ever been sad. For no reason but to make myself feel worse in this moment. Oh my God, I'm mental. I was thinking about my first heartbreak when I broke up with my first boyfriend, and even though it was my decision, I was so sad because this person was my first love, and I'd spoken to him every single day for 3.5 years. And then you have to grieve that person, and it's really sad. And I was in bed, and I was really upset, even though I knew it was the right decision. I was so sad. And now I look back and I'm like, lol. Like, if that was your biggest problem at the time, hun, you've got far worse to come, because it only gets deeper into the pits from you. But yeah, it's just an example that time heals everything, I think. Okay, so welcome, guys. I just want to shout out and say thank you, because last week I was like, if you enjoy, share on your stories, leave me a nice message, and you guys, you came through and you just honestly made my week. A couple of people, actually might have just been one person, but I don't even care, two people shared me on your story. And I just had a couple of really nice messages, a couple of comments. And honestly, you've just got no idea. When somebody says they listen every week, or they binge some episodes, or they just really enjoy it, it's just it makes me so, so happy and so grateful. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. Although last week, right, when I got a message, one of them was from somebody I know, and I was like, sometimes because I'm sat here, right, it's so unfiltered, as you know, and I just say shit, and I see the numbers, and I know people are listening, and it's great, but it's just numbers. I don't really think about it. And then when I see actual faces and people I know saying like great episode, I'm like, wow, would I have met you for a coffee and told you how I lost my virginity? Maybe not. And then I'm like, what else did I say on that episode? Like, is it even okay to overshare this much on the internet? And then sometimes it's like you forget that people actually listen. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys. Right, now, I thought this week, because it's a little bit chaotic, why not switch up the format of the podcast? And I'm going up north this weekend to see my boyfriend's family. We've got a party up there. So I'm not going to be able to record up there. But I thought, why not turn this into... It's not even a vlog. I don't know. Let's just move it about a bit. I'm always sat in this settee. Let's just bring you along for the weekend and see how we get on. So if you're listening on Spotify, that's okay. That's fine. But just know that if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to be switching up the locations. We're just mixing it up today because I feel like it, quite frankly. So yeah, let us go next on the drive. From my old episodes, you know that when I usually go on these long car drives, shit gets weird because I'm always like, tell me about a time I made you most happy. Because they're like 3-hour car journeys, and what else is there to do other than ask deep questions? So yeah, come along for that. Okay, we're in the car. I'm hoping you can hear me well on my new microphone. I've got a lot of faith in this microphone. We're on the way, and we just put the postcode into the sat-nav, and it's going to take 5 hours. So, do you love 5-hour long car rides with me, babe? No. It might not even pick you up, but if the camera or if this microphone picked him up, you'll know he said no. If the microphone didn't pick it up, he said, yeah, he loves it. Okay, so we watched Love is Blind recently, and I have to talk about it. This might be some spoilers, I don't know, maybe not. But basically, Uche was somebody that I thought looked nice, and he was vibing with Aaliyah. And then the red flags on this guy that came out, I could read them from a mile away. So basically, he asked Aaliyah... Is that not talking? He asked Aaliyah, has she ever cheated on anyone? Which firstly is an irrelevant question, because what if she has? It doesn't mean that she's always going to be a cheater. And quite frankly, none of your business, really. I mean, fair enough if you want to say, but... that to me is well, not a red flag, but I would kind of have my back up. Anyway, she said yeah. The amount this man judged her, didn't he? Death stares through the wall, like she can't even see you, mate. Staring her down through the wall. Asked her when it was, and she said 2 years ago. Which for me, I'm like, 2 years ago I was under 30, a different person. 2 years ago we were probably in the pandemic. You know? It's a long time. Oh, not for Uche. He said that 2 years, he was like, oh, so it was recent then. And he gave us so much judgment on it that he made her cry. Well, you don't think the girl's name was Aaliyah?
No, Aaliyah is the one that he went on a date with before, did he not? Why are you sticking the phallic-shaped object in my mouth?
The phallic-shaped objects. I don't think it's going to pick you...
drive and I've got penis-shaped objects in my mouth.
Well, otherwise they won't be able to hear what you're saying. Well, I thought it was Aaliyah. Okay, let me just do a quick fact check.
I'm pretty sure that
I also thought that this...
that he went on a date with prior to the show. I'm pretty sure that's Aaliyah, isn't it?
No, that's Lydia.
Ah, that's Lydia, sorry.
Right, so you were wrong and I'm right. I've googled Uche and Aaliyah and all that's come up as Aaliyah songs. Yes, it's Aaliyah. I also thought this guy was Luce at first. Anyway, he made her cry. And I just want to say to anyone that if a guy you're dating asks you this, you need to call him out on it and be like, do you know what? I did wrong and whatever. But I've got no shame in it because everybody makes mistakes. It was 2 years ago and it's not to say that I'm that person and I'm going to do it over and over again. And you can't judge somebody for doing something when they weren't even with you. Like, she hadn't even met him. But I do think it's really common because he was also like, did you ever tell her? And it is easy to judge people when you hear about their past. If you speak to somebody and you're meeting them and they're telling you, obviously, if they say, like, say you met a guy and he's like, yeah, I've always cheated on my girlfriends, whatever that, so we've broken up. Yeah, you might be a bit like, okay, this isn't good. But also, people do change. Like, it's fine. It happens. It reminds me, right? I've spoken about my ex, like the toxic one that we used to argue all the time. He once had an argument with me. I remember it was like on a Friday night or something, or a Thursday night. I was at home and he kept me up over the phone until like 2 a.m. or something on a work night, a school night. I was exhausted. Did I? Yeah. Okay, Friday night then. I don't even know why oh yeah, I was going to say I don't know why I was driving. I felt like I had to be up early the next day. Anyway, this is all irrelevant points, right? He argued with me because I don't even know how we found out. Maybe I told him, I can't remember. But he found out that me and my friend went on a holiday in Miami years prior, maybe 2 years prior, and got invited onto a yacht with these guys. And it was amazing. There was a chef on there, fully cooking food, full staff. It was bigger than my flat. It was actually incredible, right? Anyway, that's not the point. My ex found out about this and had a full-blown argument with me, being like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you just went on some random person's yacht and they just asked you and you went straight away, trying to judge me and trying to make me out like I was some sort of slag. I'm sorry, if anyone gets invited on your yacht, who's saying no? Because I know he wouldn't either. What am I going to do? Somebody says, do you want to go on my yacht? No, sorry. For what reason? I was also single. But I would have gone on even if I wasn't, because, hello, it's a yacht. I wasn't going to get with any of them. Like, it wasn't under some sort of thing, you can only come on the yacht to give me a blowy. We were just allowed to be on there and have a nice time. Anyway, he fully argued with me. But I did give a blowy, yeah. No, I didn't actually. I didn't at all. It was like a big group of us. By big group of us, I mean mostly girls and like 3 men. But whatever. Anyway, he fully argued with me and tried to shame me. And I think in those situations, you really just have to stand up for yourself. Like, no shade to Aaliyah, but she was crying and stuff and kind of feeding into, yeah, I know it was bad. Like, you could admit you're wrong and admit you've done something bad, but you shouldn't feel shame in it. And I just didn't like that. And then he was trying to say, like, well, she did tell me, so that's okay. And I almost think all of it was a ploy to also be angry with her so that she felt like she'd lost him and then asked for him back. Because I also think some people do that. Like, no, like the fake, I don't know if I can go through with this after like nothing big has happened, and you low-key know that they're going to carry on because what's happened isn't even a big deal. But they do it just so that you feel like they can leave at any second. I just feel like I know all the red flags for toxic behaviour like this. And then, lo and behold, it comes out that he was dating somebody else in the pods. Well, kept that secret, didn't he? Absolute loser. So, yeah, that's my little Matt's laughing. Well, he is, though. This is my thing, right? So I asked you guys on Instagram, red flags you wish you didn't ignore, because I also read one of those stories last week and I thought it ties in, but I'm going to read those at home because they're long and I want to make sure you can hear me okay. But yeah, this is my top tip. I think anyone that asks you, well, they can ask you if you've cheated, but that reaction, no. I'm not saying bin them, but I also kind of am. Another one is how many people have you slept with? Doesn't matter, because what do they want from that? I'd never understand that question. It's basically about passing judgment. What other one is there? Oh, have you got any guy friends? Red flag. So what if I have? I just feel like they're all signs for somebody that's going to be controlling, and you should look out for them. Okay guys, I'm back home. I wanted to be somewhere quiet to read the answers that you gave to the Insta question I asked last week about the red flags. I have no gossip from the rest of the weekend. I couldn't vlog. It was all very lovely, very sensible, and a lot of travelling. So that's the lowdown on that. And I did want to record originally from a different location, but it took us so long to get back. Literally 7 hours almost in the car. So by the time I got home, yeah, logistically it couldn't happen, I'm afraid. But yeah, if you do like this type of vlog / episode, let me know, and obviously we can get it better. Maybe we can do one once a month or something. Just let me know in the comments. Okay, so let's end the episode with these bad boys. I asked you guys, what's a red flag you wish you didn't ignore? When he says he's getting a divorce and 18 months later he's still married. Red flag. Love bombing straight away. I thought it was all compliments, but yeah, it turns into control. Yeah, I feel like that's quite common in controlling relationships. Asking me to delete all male numbers off my phone. Definitely a red flag. This is pretty much like what I said about in the car. I was 17 at the time and naive. 13 years later and 2 kids and a relationship where I was controlled without realising. I just found out he'd been having an affair and left me. But thankful it was only 13 years and not 30. Silver linings. Do you know what? I love your positivity there, and I think that's a really good sign for your healing journey. As cheesy as that sounds. But I think if you can find gratitude and a bit of humour, which we try to do here every week, if you can find those in your situation eventually, then it's a really good sign that you're on to something better and you're going to feel better about yourself in the future. So yeah, well done with that. That's cool. Oh, this is a good one. Disney wallpaper in his kitchen. Full on Mickey Mouse. That would be a red flag to me. That and cuddly toys. It's a no from me. No judgment. I know people are big on cuddly toys and Disney. But if I went to a guy's house and there was a Mickey Mouse on the bed, could I still be as sexually turned on? No. No is the short answer. Okay, so backing up, what's a red flag you wish you didn't ignore? A married teacher. I was his student. Ew. Naked pics on his iPad while I was pregnant. 2 shit years later, he left me. Instant new girlfriend too. Oh my god, that's the biggest red flag, surely. No, we can't accept that. Ticked all the boxes, wasn't complicated, made me fall for him. Should have known better. Oh, that makes me sad, and I don't think you should have known better, because when you get with somebody that's right for you and a really nice relationship, then it shouldn't be complicated, in my opinion. So I think if something's going easy and everything is looking good, then why wouldn't you fall for him? I don't think that's something you should feel embarrassed about, because that's what we deserve and that's what we will all get at one point if that's what we want. And like I said on last week's episode, I think it's really good to go into any relationship or situationship with an open mind and thinking positive things. If you go in and question everything, then it's not nice for you and it's not good for the relationship. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you should have known better for that. That just says a lot more about him for living a lie. Like, why? Who has the time and effort for that? That's on him. That she was married. No, 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 no. Run. If somebody says they're married when you meet them, run. Meeting up with their ex, but only as a friend. Why the heck was I so naive? Yeah, I feel like meeting up with an ex once, maybe even twice, okay. Regular meetups, I do think is a red flag, because if you're that close, why aren't you still together? Although there was a really good episode I had before when I had the message and it made me cry, of a couple that broke up because they were better off as friends and now they're very good friends, and that made me cry. And from her point of view, she was literally like, we're never going to get back together. So I don't know, maybe there's a one-off story there, but my gut still tells me red flag. Because if you've broken up with somebody, why do you still need to see them all the time? Yeah. She's a stripper. Okay? Let's not hate on all strippers though, because girls gotta hustle. Girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do. That's all I'm saying. Described his type and it was the opposite of me. Hate that. When he says all his exes are crazy. That's me eye rolling for those Spotify listeners. That's a big red flag. Love bombing right at the start. We've got another one. Talking about the future at the start. I could go on all day. If somebody goes too early when you feel like you were not anywhere near those feelings, then yeah, you have to take that as a red flag, because there's no way somebody can be falling in love with you after a week, you know. Small little lies that you didn't think mattered meant he was a serial liar with everything. That's interesting and makes sense, because we had a story a long time ago where a girl said that her ex was even lying about what he was having for lunch and stuff. And so it turns out, obviously, he was a compulsive liar and he could just lie easily about anything. His name beginning with a J. This cracked me up. Why have we all been tormented by somebody with a J name? Why? At one point, I was dating, like anyone that I dated or was always talking to or even fancied, their name started with a J. It was mental. I actually, one time I was out in a club, right? And say this guy's name was James Dean, right? Obviously not. But say his name was James Dean. I obviously was speaking to this guy or whatever. And then when I was out, I saw a different guy out, new guy. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's hot. I'm going to go over and talk to him, ballsy as I was. So giving him the eyes, whatever, go over and talk. He asks my name. I said, what's your name? James Dean. I literally turned to my friend. I said, we have to leave. I'm just simply not. And that was it. I turned around and walked away. I can't know for sure, but my gut tells me it was the best decision I ever made. He didn't want to put a label on it. Yeah, that's a red flag. If you push in 3, 4, 5, 6 months and the person you're with still doesn't want to lock it down, I'm jumping ship, because you should know by then. If I know by then, you should know by then. When something is too good to be true. This one, I understand what you're saying, but I also believe in my heart that when you meet somebody special and somebody that you're meant to be in a relationship with in any capacity and for whatever length, but whenever something is right for a certain amount of time, it will seem too good to be true, because that's the whole feeling of what love is to me. Like something just so happy and just really easy, at least at the start. I know that when you get into it, it's not like that, but at the start, I think it will feel like it's too good to be true, but it wouldn't be. It'll be just right. Mammy's boys, fair. Over-promising than under-delivering. Yes, my love language is words of affirmation. However, people can't just be speaking stuff. Like, there's got to be some actions behind it. Only seeing me on weekends or late at night. That is a red flag. That should be a white flag. I surrender. No, I'm not up for that unless you're on the same vibe, which is completely fine. No, I just could never get on board with that. Unless I also wanted just the late night and weekends, which is fine. But if I was saying to him, do you want to come for dinner, or I don't know, do you want to go to the cinema? And he was like, no, I can see you at 1 a.m. Block. Honestly, block. What's a red flag you wish you didn't ignore? His mother. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. How can a person like the exact same things as you, as in everything? Yeah, that is a red flag, because it's like they losing their identity just because they want to please you and they want you to get on with them, and you never actually are going to know what they like, truly. The love bombing at the very start of a relationship, slow and steady with emotions. Yeah, I think that's like a running theme, actually, that anybody that goes in something too fast, it is a bit of a red flag, which I agree with. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed, please, as always, make sure you like and follow and subscribe and all the other good stuff. Please, please, please leave me a cheeky 5-star review if you can. It would take me up to 150 reviews on Spotify, which would make me very happy. So yeah, if you haven't done that yet, please, if you want to do me a little favour, that would be very nice. And yeah, just make sure you follow me, guys, on Spotify and Apple. Like, we don't spam you with stuff. You just get a little notification when a new episode's out. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, share with your friends, even if it's just word of mouth. Just help get the word out for the podcast. Please, is a huge help, so we can get some more stories in that we can share with each other and have a laugh at and help each other out. Also, I know I mentioned it briefly earlier, but if you do like a type of vlog episode where I'm not just sat on a settee, let me know, and obviously we can make that better, and I can actually film a little bit more in between, and we can do I don't know, maybe once a month, once every couple of weeks, whatever, or maybe just when I've got something on. But yeah, please let me know your thoughts if you did enjoy a little bit of that format. I know we gave it just a little guinea pig run today. Well, actually, I did a similar one for my birthday, but that wasn't in the same format as an episode at all, so can't really judge it by that. Anyway, okay, as always, I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll speak to you next Tuesday.